So out of the box, he stands to the top of his hair, about 6 inches. Now the Tamashii version seems ever so slightly, no, I was gonna say it seems ever so slightly taller than those. Okay, so I always go into these videos with the assumption that people know who these third-party companies are, but that's not always the case. So if you're new, basically, Demoniacal Fit is a Dragon Ball action figure company, and they make essentially bootleg Dragon Ball action figures, but they're not like the bootleg action figures of yesteryear. They are sometimes on par with the official product, and in some cases, like with Transformers, they can exceed the official product, but that's all. It's both to the top of their head, about 6 inches. Okay, here the Vegetas are next to what would be considered your standard Goku figure, and of course, Broly. So here's Battle Armor Trunks and Full Power Super Saiyan Broly next to the Vegetas, and as you can see, both are taller than Vegetas. Broly significantly so has to be expected. But anyways, let's move forward. As far as aesthetic goes for both of these figures, the most obvious difference at first glance is the hair. Tamashii's hair is sparkly, but in a pale metallic sort of way, you feel me? As far as Demoniacal Fit, we're ditching the metallic and bringing on the matted saturation. It starts off with a dark, deep yellow from the root, and as you get closer to the tips of the hair or the spikes, it gets lighter. Moving back to Tamashii Nations, the whole of the body has a more semi-satin finish to the figure, but D.F has a more matted finish to the body. I would go so far as to say that the Tamashii Nations version has a more closer blue to the source material. However, I will say that once we get to the legs, more specifically the knees, they look like they were freshly polished. So if you have an issue with shiny knees, well, there you go. But I don't think it's a deal breaker by any means, personally. Now, as far as the gloves and the boots go, I have to say that the DF version is a lot more accurate with that more, you know, pure white, that snow white look to it. While Tamashii Nations doesn't look bad at all, it actually looks good. It is more of an off-white kind of gray color. So if that is something that would bother you, there's that. I guess somehow, if you into customizing, you could somehow get the boots and the gloves off of the DF version and put it onto the Tamashii Nations version, or swap them somehow, then you could do that. That would be perfect for you. But as far as the armor goes, the Tamashii Nations version definitely has more of a mustard yellow, while the DF version has more of a sharp cheddar yellow. On second thought, it's more like honey mustard on the Tamashii Nations version and more like regular mustard on the DF version. So I'll let you guys decide which ones you'd prefer in that regard, but neither one is a bad choice by any stretch of the imagination. Both of these are very good figures. Where they really divest from each other though is the accessories portion, and let's hop into that. Starting with the hands, they both come with combat pose hands, fist hands, grabby hands, open palm blast hands, a thumbs up hand, and of course when he has a certain attitude with a certain carrot, they both come with the crossed arm accessory. Solo mode! Go! So the DF version of this figure comes with a pair of Big Bang Attack hands, as well. To my surprise, he comes with a donut making hand. Also, he comes with a grabby hand with a hole in it, and you know what that hole is used for.
What do you mean by that?
His final flash accessory, of course. And last but certainly, not really least, but you know, it's something that we've seen a million times before. He comes with the Super Saiyan aura effect. It looks very nice. It seems to be painted well enough. I'm never really excited to get this accessory because I could go without it. I usually just edit an aura effect into my pictures, so you know, that's why I feel about that. Anyways, moving forward. Now for the faceplates, time to see who will come out the victor. You see what I did there? Because I put a picture of Dr. Doom and his name is Victor Von. Shut up! Okay, so I will say that I do think the Tamashii Nations face is a bit better, and that is simply because of the small detail of them kind of shrinking the pupil down, and it makes the face look a lot more intense while he's yelling. Now, of course, the normal size pupil of the DF version isn't a deal breaker by any means, but I do think that's what put the Tamashii Nations version over the edge versus the DF version. As far as the serious faces, they're pretty much the same. I think at that point, it's just a matter of which color hair do you want, you know? Now, when we get to the smirking faces though, once again, I'll say that the Tamashii Nations version is better because it's more dynamic. But that's also its weakness because I think it's a bit more situational, because now you have Vegeta looking off to the side, you know? I think you can do a lot more poses and pictures with your character looking forward rather than off to the side. However, like I said, I do still prefer that looking off to the side cocky grin. As far as head swaps go, here are the 2 head swaps from each figure. And I will say that the Tamashii Nations version definitely fits a whole lot looser.
That's what she
for
said.
whatever reason. So that's definitely something to look out for. As far as the rest of the head swaps go, here we go. You have the Dragon Ball Super Superhero base Vegeta head sculpt, the Dragon Ball Super Broly Super Saiyan God head, the Dragon Ball Super Saiyan Blue head, the Demoniacal Fit Super Saiyan Blue Evolution head, the Kong Studios Ultra Ego head, which by the way, you're gonna have to heat that head up so the peg could fit in properly, because then it'll be too tight to fit. And last but certainly not least, we have the Quasi Ultra Instinct head, also from Kong Studio.
Cut and scene.
Alright, so I'm gonna just talk for this portion of the segment. For whatever reason, you can see it's the same exact mold, but for whatever reason, DF's legs spread further apart. I don't know if it's how they attached it to the figure, but that's what it is. Shaker, shaker, shaker.
Shaker, shaker, shaker.
Shaker, shaker, shaker.
Shaker, shaker, shaker.
Cut and scene. Alright, real quick, let's knock out the ratings first, and then we're gonna get into why I rated it that way. So 7.5 out of 10 in aesthetic for both. 7.5 out of 10 for the Tamashii version in terms of accessories. 10 out of 10 for Demoniacal Fit in terms of accessories. 7.5 out of 10 for Articulation on the Vegeta for Tamashii, and 7.8 out of 10, or you can do 8 out of 10 for Demoniacal Fit. Now, the reason why I gave it those ratings, starting with the aesthetic, now both I feel like had their little hiccups and flaws in terms of the aesthetic and terms of accuracy. For example, Tamashii's version didn't have the snow white boots, and it also had the yellow tips on the boots, which is not accurate to that version of Vegeta that they're trying to make, which is basically a first appearance Super Saiyan Vegeta, which Demoniacal Fit, they got that part right with the boots. Now, Demoniacal Fit didn't get the blue right on the spandex in my opinion. Tamashii got that right. Now, in terms of the hair, that's just a matter of preference. Do you like metallic hair or pearlescent hair? But I think it's more metallic in my opinion, because it's not like the World Tour exclusive Goku hair. Then If you like metallic hair better than the more matted finish slash, you know, rather shading on the figure, then you know that could, like I said, all a matter of preference. Now, in terms of accessories, man, oh man, I think the thing that saves Tamashii is the price point. It's a $35 price point, right? So you're not paying a whole lot for what you get, you know? So I say that to say, like, it's figures that cost more than that Vegeta figure released by Tamashii, but have like the same amount of accessories. Like, it's crazy. But for Demoniacal Fit, they pack so much into that, and even though it's a bit more expensive than Tamashii at least when it first came out, it was like a $50 price point. It's still like a really good price point. You're getting more accessories than you do get with most Tamashii figures nowadays, especially Dragon Ball. Well, more specifically Dragon Ball, actually. But in terms of the articulation, the reason why I gave Demoniacal Fit the edge is because of that the whole leg splits situation. You know, that was really annoying because it's something that Tamashii easily could have done, but for whatever reason it didn't happen. So that's why I gave it the edge there. You could go 7.8 out of 10, give it 8 out of 10. Doesn't really matter. But with that being said, once again, I thank you guys for your patience. I know it's been a little while. I haven't been really consistent with the videos for the last, week, like 2 weeks now. But we back in business right now. I'm going to be trying to pump out reviews and make them, you know, the best quality that I can make them. But until next time, peace.